My name is Wolfgang Zimmermann. I'm the president of the Pacific Coast University for Workplace Health Sciences, and I welcome you to our 2024 convocation. For most, definitely welcome all of you who are in the room here today, but also all of the individuals that are on the screen that have registered and were able to register for the Zoom session. And of course, as many of you are aware, this session today is being live streamed across 22 countries where there are certified disability management professionals. We've reached out to all of our colleagues in those jurisdictions. There are well over 4,000 CDMPs, and they were all advised of the link on how to participate. With that and a very full program, it is now my great pleasure to introduce to you our very first speaker. He's Ken Neumann, who was the Canadian National Director for the United Steelworkers and had served in this position since 2004, representing more than 225,000 United Steelworker members throughout his tenure. Mr. Neumann has been instrumental in building USW grassroots strengths across Canada under his leadership since 2009. More than 50,000 members have joined the union, and he has led mergers with the IWA of Canada and the Telecommunication Workers Union. In 1989, he was elected USW Director for Western Canada, a position he held until 2004 when he began his role as a Canadian National Director. Please join me in welcoming Ken Neumann.
Well, thank you very much, Wolfgang, for the introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. First of all, let me just say on behalf of the Board of Directors, I want to welcome the guests, the faculty members, our board members, parents and children, and most importantly, you, the graduate class of the Bachelor of Disability Management. Today marks a momentous occasion in your academic journey. As a graduate of the PCU, you have earned a prestigious degree in your skills and knowledge required to assist people with disabilities. I just wanted to do, as Wolfgang just did a quick introduction, is that I've been involved with NIDMAR and the Pacific Coast University for 30 plus years. I've been the co-chair of NIDMAR and the PCU for 17 years, since 2006. As Wolfgang has explained, as my role as the District 3 Director in Western Canada, then also as National Director, that our union has always been held safety and health in the environment in the forefront of our mission. We have represented a lot of members in forestry, mining, manufacturing, which obviously have had a record of some fairly significant fatalities. We've always taken safety and health as our #1 priority and have worked hard to maintain health and safety workplaces. Unfortunately, the statistics in Canada are not that good. We still to this day have 1,000 people that die by going to work each year. And that has not changed within the last 10 years. And the ratio for every one worker that's killed is 25-1. There's the people that have a disability for every worker killed. And if you look at the stats, which I'm sure you're all aware of, the stats of reemployment are very dismal. It's for that reason why this university is so important, and for that reason the teaching for the Bachelor of Disability Management helps us in the return to work. Disabled, if you look at what's happened, is that they've basically always been pushed to the curb of society. They get the highest suicide rate, the highest poverty rate, the highest depression, highest spousal abuse. And I always tell people this: they're no different than any of us in this room. They have families, they have loved ones, they have neighbors, they have brothers and sisters. And that's why it's so crucial that they have the opportunity to get gainful employment. One of the stories I've always shared with many of you, and I've known Wolfgang since the 1990s. Wolfgang and I have worked together for many years. I know the story of Wolfgang, that his first week on the job, he's got this disability that he has today because of an industrial accident. And I remember a few years ago, or several years ago, I remember him saying to me, "You know, Ken, I feel lucky. I would look at him and I'd see how he'd struggle. He'd even go get a cup of coffee or to exit the room. And then you try to imagine, envisage of what his life is on a day-to-day basis. And I say to Wolfgang, I says, how do you feel that you're so lucky? He's I'm lucky because I got re-employed and I have an opportunity to fend for my family and my loved ones. So to me, that's what this is all about. The fact is that the work the Pacific Coast University has done in Midmar is we're on the right track. So to the graduates, congratulations and all the best in your future career.
Many thanks, Ken. Much appreciate your kind comments. And now gives me great pleasure to introduce our Chancellor, our founding Chancellor, the Honorable Wayne Wouters, who is currently a strategic and policy advisor to McCarthy Titrold. He had a distinguished 37-year career in the federal public service, including serving 5 years as clerk of the Privy Council of Canada. As clerk, he held the roles of Deputy Minister to the Prime Minister, Secretary to the Cabinet, and Head of the Public Service. During his years with the Federal Public Service, he held the positions of Deputy Minister of Fisheries and Oceans, Deputy Minister of Human Resources and Skills Development, Secretary of the Treasury Board, and Clerk of the Privy Council until his retirement in 2014. He has received honorary Doctor of Laws degrees from several universities and is an officer of the Order of Canada. Please join me in welcoming our Chancellor, Wayne Wouters.
Thank you, Wolfgang. Hello, everyone. Greetings to all of you here in person and to all our friends and colleagues virtually from now around the world. You know, I've watched YouTube a lot. I've never been on YouTube. I guess we're all on YouTube today, so this is great. Let me say a few words about the graduates and the degree program and other learning programs. But I would like to start by acknowledging that the physical location of Pacific Coast University for Workplace Health Sciences in Port Alberni, BC, is on the traditional territory of the Nuu-chah-nulth First Nations. And anyone who visits the university, I don't know if you've been there, but if you visit the university, you're greeted by the carved welcome pole. It's a indigenous carving, a beautiful statue that's there as you come into the doors of the university. And it's particularly fitting for us because the frog at its base is meant to symbolize the university's stable grounding in knowledge and collaboration. And the medicine man at the top, holding a bird in one hand and crystal in the other, is meant to symbolize the global reach of the university's supportive mandate. Both tools are used by the medicine man, and the frog was considered the medicine man's helper. So very fitting statue for the university. And staying with our indigenous heritage, we are walking on the traditional land of the Musqueam, Squamish, Coast Salish, and Slave Wooltooth here at Pacific Coast, Pan Pacific Hotel. Now, it gives me great pleasure to speak at this, our fifth convocation ceremony. 5 years ago, we had one graduate. And I waited, I don't know how long how many years do I have to wait till we get to have one graduate? We have one, now we have a few more, and increasing as years go on. But I'm so proud of the impressive uptake our degree and certificate programs have had. Today also marks our second hybrid event. As I just said, and we know, we're streaming around the world. on YouTube and through the global CDMP CRT WC community in 22 countries, as Wolfgang has already noted. And also, one of our guests virtually, I want to introduce, it gives me great pleasure to recognize Professor Dr. Bert Biggs up here in the left-hand corner, who's PCU-WHS's Director of Academic Operations, who joins us today from, it is truly an international university, Brisbane, Australia. Welcome. This year, we adopted the new National Australian Higher Education Standards. Apparently, we have no such standards here in Canada, so it's great to borrow your standards, Dr. Banks.
Thank you.
I want to recognize today all our dedicated students as a group. We have those pursuing the university bachelor's degree program and disability management. I see one of our graduates here today, and I know other graduates are with us virtually. There's also the advanced certificate in return to work, and those who have enrolled in some of our continuing education programs. So welcome all of you. We actually have 98 disability management practitioner certificates program graduates who have already received their certificates, and I would like to mention and acknowledge their achievements at this moment and congratulate to all of you today. I understand that 17 of these graduates from that program have now moved into our bachelor's program. So we're seeing an evolution of our programming into the bachelor's program, and hopefully one day we're going to have a master's program. But that's for another announcement another day. We are extremely pleased with our highly successful model of supporting students through our various academic and continuous education programs. It has been emulated through the generous contributions of both the Government of Canada and the Government of British Columbia. And since 2019, when we received our initial scholarship support, which played a pivotal role in making today's event a reality, we have benefited from the visionary leadership of both Trevor Alexander, then COO of Workplace BC, and its late chair of the board, Ralph McQuinn. I just want to acknowledge those gentlemen today as well. These two remarkable men understood the landscape and the need to address the growing demand for return to work and disability management expertise in our society. Of this note, I have a few details to share with you. Bill 41 is an amendment to Workers' Compensation Act here in British Columbia. The bill mandates that employers have a legal obligation to return injured workers to work, including a duty to cooperate and to maintain employment. These provisions became effective January 1st of this year. Again, another measure to move the yardsticks. Additionally, a brand new $4 million contribution from the Canadian and BC governments to support early intervention strategies under our CDMPs as highly professional disability case managers has been made. More proof that education through PCU-WHS creates a great pathway towards return to work, regaining dignity, and obtaining this global professional disability management credential. I also wish to recognize and offer my sincere thanks to our dedicated faculty, staff, and of course you, all the students enrolled in all of our programs, past and present. Your contributions and commitments over many years have helped contribute to this movement and this moment. Pacific Coast University for Workplace Health Sciences appreciates all of those in the broader community who have supported our faculty and students, their friends, family, and mentors. And we are grateful to the Government of British Columbia and the elected members of the legislature from all parties. Collectively, they had vision and foresight, seeing value and long-term opportunity, and laying the statutory foundation for the university. And on a personal level, I'm proud to play a very small part when in 2009, during the challenging financial crisis we saw in Canada, and indeed around the world, I had the opportunity to support funding for the physical campus that established our university in the Alberta Valley here on Vancouver Island. You know, regrettably though, the conditions which prompted me to wholeheartedly support the establishment of this university have not gone away, but in fact, many would say perhaps is getting worse. You know, I'm referring here to the issues of housing affordability, poverty, and addiction. All are significant problems for Canadians, and all affect people with disabilities disproportionately. These issues are invariably linked to a lack of employment and substantial underemployment for our citizens suffering from mental or physical health impairments. More than 80% of mental or physical health impairments occur during someone's working life, and that having the right supports, professional knowledge, and empathetic workplace attitudes in place can have a major impact on long-term social and economic outcomes for these disabled workers. The insights and expert knowledge our graduates bring to the table can play a defining role in changing the narrative and mitigate the often very negative consequences following an onset of a mental or physical health impairment. And we are introducing and witnessing dramatic changes and shifts in our approach to disability, and new scientific findings are supporting much older anecdotal evidence. With confidence, we can now directly link the length of a time a person receives disability support and is off work to long-term unemployment prospects for people with disabilities. According to a recent study by the OECD, individuals have a 1% or less chance of ever working again after 1 year on public or private disability assistance. So how critical that first year is for those involved in this field to get to those individuals who have a disability and get them back to work. It's absolutely critical, and now scientific studies are confirming this. So for all our graduates, your skills and your abilities are invaluable in achieving effective return to work through early intervention, and will have a great impact, not only for the affected individuals, but for our society at large. Our field holds so much potential. Considering the labor shortage that we have, not only in this country, but in many other jurisdictions around the world, we think our graduates can have a significant impact on the workplace. Meanwhile, other factors are at play, placing even more stress on the system. For example, we have changes to the temporary foreign worker program, and reductions in the number of international student visas awarded means that we're going to still see even more staff shortages. And beyond the life-changing you will do in facilitating early intervention and return to work, education through PCU-WHS can also lead to some major career opportunities, which are personally, socially, and I hope professionally rewarding. For example, it has the potential to be very rewarding financially. It could also allow those studying in this field to do both frontline work and later on, with more experience, hopefully a range of senior management roles. I'm not making this stuff up. So if you look at a few examples in relation to compensation, for example, talk about financial benefits, we all want to, of course, we all want to make a difference. but being financially secure doing this is also important. So I recently posted DM advisor for the city of Kamloops, started at $100K. With the senior director return to work operations for the WSIB, close to $200K. So the market is seeing the need for this and is responding by compensating you, our graduates, I hope appropriately. So your efforts in disability management and return to work will help reduce disability stigma, enhance our collective efforts towards a more disability inclusive society. To all our students, whether you have been pursuing the university bachelor's degree program in disability management, or the advanced certificate in return to work, or continuing education studies, you should be immensely proud of your achievements. I hope that you have taken time to reflect on all those demands of the program, your resilience, your focus, and your sheer determination to get to this point today. Your choice to pursue this path, your perseverance, actions and struggles, and I'm sure there were struggles along the way, your capacity to balance your own personal life, your very competing personal life with professional and financial priorities in order to complete this demanding degree program. It's incredible and it's impressive, and I congratulate each and every one of you. You embody the philosophy of disability management. Your accomplishments and progress fill us with pride, and we hope we will have many rewarding career opportunities in the future. The disability rights movement in Canada has evolved over the years. New legislation, as I said, has come into effect, also federally in 2019, and again here in BC, where accessibility legislation achieved royal assent on June 17th, 2023. And as of September 1st of this year, more than 750 public sector organizations in BC, and as of December 31st last year, federal government departments have had to submit official accessibility plans. We hope that the degrees and certificates you have earned today, combined with your personal efforts and commitment, will drive much better outcomes for people with disabilities in the decades to come. We also hope that they will help guide and support employers, unions, and governments, and others who are committed to implementing an equity, diversity, and inclusive strategy. And I want to continue to celebrate these remarkable achievements and contributions, as well as increase public awareness, understanding, and acceptance of people with differing abilities. You know, the opportunity to find or return to employment is absolutely essential for any individual's dignity, financial independence, and self-worth. And we must each reflect on our own individual responsibility to take action and impact the change we want to see in our society. The contributions of disability management and return to work professionals like yourselves cannot be overstated today. It truly is life-changing work. You know, suffering a serious injury or a disease is not in anyone's future plans. Your skills will allow you to support those who have suffered life-altering health impairment. And that expertise, your expertise, can assist them in navigating their own path forward so that they too can realize whatever their new state in life is, their potential, and continue making their own valued contribution to our society and to our economy without being pushed to its margins. Again, my heartfelt congratulations on your tremendous achievement and efforts. Well done, everyone. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Wayne, for your inspiring comments. And on a personal note, I just want to say that, you know, very, very much appreciate your professional support and our personal friendship since we first met in 2001, and you asked me, what is disability management all about? So we've come a long way. Thanks a million. Next, it's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Susan Patrick, who is the Senior Academic Lead at our university. Susan has a background in scientific research, university-level instruction, and course and program development. She has a PhD in neuroscience and a Bachelor of Science in General Science from the University of Alberta. She has developed courses and course materials as well as instructing courses, and she has been involved in the assessment of learning needs, conversion of face-to-face to online and blended learning experiences. And she'll talk to us and explain a bit about what the degree is all about. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Susan Patrick.
Good afternoon, everybody, and good morning and good evening to, well, this square is very small now, to several people online that are attending from different time zones. I'm very honored to be here today to celebrate the achievements of 8 individuals as they graduate today with a bachelor degree in disability management. The Bachelor of Disability Management program, or BDM program, was first launched in September of 2014. It was the first of its kind worldwide and still remains unparalleled nationally and internationally. This unique degree aims to provide students with the skills, knowledge, and background to help injured employees remain at the workplace, stay at work, and return to work. The degree also prepares students to help employers and other organizations, such as service providers and insurers, establish and run cost-effectively disability management and return to work programs. Most of the students in the BDM program entered the program having already completed 60 credits at another institution, providing the required and discretionary elective components of the degree. Then at PCU, they complete the equivalent number of credits as specialized BDM courses. These specialized BDM courses, taught by experts on the topics, are wide-ranging, but always directly applied to disability management. In their studies, the students develop knowledge, competencies, and leadership skills in the interaction between work and the workplace and the body and the mind, establishing and maintaining a healthy and safe work environment, data collection and analysis, case analysis and research methods, medical and rehabilitative clinical vocabulary and findings, legislation and policy, workers' compensation, client engagement, organizational structures, human resources and change management, insurance, benefit coordination and financial planning, return to work planning, communication and interviewing skills, stakeholder collaboration, the DM return on investment, economics, ethics, conflict resolution, unions, service coordination, and so much more, as our graduates will attest. This is a very intense program aimed to provide students with a solid foundation in line with the occupational standards of the International Disability Management Standards Council, thus preparing the students to begin a new career in disability management or delve further into the DM field in which they are already working, to reshape the thinking, attitudes, and systems involving workers with disabilities. Our graduates this year are from Canada, literally coast to coast across the country, as well as overseas. And graduates, you came here to PCU with quite varied backgrounds, including medical or paramedical fields, occupational health and safety, human resources, and administration. Some of you started your BDM program just over 2 years ago, and some of you have been plugging away at your degree for several years now. Many, if not all of you, have overcome significant obstacles to arrive at this day. So for successful completion of your program and for overcoming all obstacles and challenges to do so, I congratulate you all. Some of you already have some extensive experience in the DM field or a related field, but many of you will be expanding your current roles or even entering into the beginning of a new career and adventure. For all of you, what you learned at PCU, not just the facts and terms and processes, the knowledge you required, but also the skills and attitude that you've developed, including how to learn, how to critique, explore, how to find answers, how to communicate, how to listen. What you have learned now forms the basis, or adds to your basis, of being able to tackle the challenges of the field. We have enjoyed working with you, enjoyed your contributions to the learning process, your ideas, your excitement, your determinations. We've enjoyed you. And we're really sorry to see you go, but are of course happy that you have successfully completed your degree, and we're very proud of you. We wish you great success, not only in your careers, but also in your lives and families and everything you do. Congratulations to all of you graduates.
Great. Yeah, thanks a lot. That's a tremendous, excellent explanation. And for those that are interested and are either here or on the screen, if you want further information, just contact Susan and you'll get the chance to get into the degree. So for our next presenter, I'm going to read out her message, and pretty soon or shortly, you will understand why she's not with us today, but I would like to take this opportunity to introduce a message from the Honorable Josie Osborne, who was elected as MLA for Mid-Island Pacific Rim in 2020. That's where we are located. She is our MLA since November 2020. She has served as Minister of Municipal Affairs and Minister for Land, Water, and Resource Stewardship. And the reason for her absence is that last week she was given the task as Minister of Health for British Columbia, and with the Ministry of Mental Health and Addictions rolled into the Ministry of Health, she has her hands full, to say the least. But she did spend the time to send us a message that she's asked me to read out to you. As a member of the Legislative Assembly for Mid-Island Pacific Rim, it is my honor to extend a congratulatory message for today's graduates. For 30 years, the National Institute of Disability Management and Research has offered programs that provide individuals with the skills necessary to go into the workforce and help employers develop, implement, and administer effective disability management and return to work programs. We know that when people with disabilities are provided with suitable accommodations and supported with policies that recognize the importance of those accommodations, they can thrive in the workplace. By the same measure, when those accommodations are withheld, they can have devastating effects. The importance of having trained professionals to develop proper policies and procedures to ensure quality in the workplace cannot be understated. I want to say to you today that the work you do in this field will be life-changing for so many people, regardless of what industry you choose to enter. You should be incredibly proud of the hard work and dedication that got you here today. I hope each of you takes the opportunity to fully appreciate your accomplishments, and I wish you all the best of luck as you prepare to go out and change the world. Josie Osborne, MLA, Mid-Island Pacific Rim. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce a recorded message that we'll be playing shortly from Gord Johns, Member of Parliament for Courtenay Alberni, who was born and raised on Vancouver Island and has lived in Courtenay Alberni region for over 25 years, raising his family on the West Coast in the territory of the Nuu-chah-nulth. He was first elected as MP in 2015, and re-elected in 2019 and 2021. He has served as the NDP critic for small business and tourism, fisheries and oceans, and Veterans Affairs, and he's currently the NDP critic for mental health and substance use health. And please allow me to introduce virtually Gord Johns.
Well, hello. First, it's greetings to everyone who's gathered virtually from all over the world to celebrate the convocation of this year's graduating class of Pacific Coast University for Workplace Health Sciences, an institution that really has a special place in my heart. And I'm speaking to you from the unceded and unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe peoples, who have lived on the territory where I am in Ottawa for millennia, and whose culture and presence have nurtured and continue to nurture this land. First, I want to thank Chancellor Wayne Wouters and the Board of Directors, Ken Neumann, for inviting me to address you in this auspicious occasion. Again, to my good friend, President Wolfgang Zimmermann, and the entire faculty of Pacific Coast University for Workplace Health Sciences for your leadership and workplace health sciences and accommodating injured workers. Your singular focus on contributing to return to work outcomes for people living with disabilities as the result of workplace injury or otherwise is recognized by government, labor, and industry throughout the world. So please accept my gratitude on behalf of a grateful community that you've located Pacific Coast University for Workplace Health Sciences and the campus in the territory of the Petchesat and Sichat First Nations in the city of Port Alberni. I want to thank again today's keynote speaker, Health Canada's Associate Deputy Minister and the Deputy Minister Champion for the University, Eric Costen, for your ongoing support for this wonderful institution. I look forward to working with you. And most especially, thank you to the graduates and all those in your lives who have contributed to helping support you in working towards acquiring the knowledge and skills that your certificates and degrees represent. Your achievement is a tribute to the personal courage and determination that is being required of you on your learning journey within this institution and our community. And your support provided by family, colleagues, faculty, fellow students, and others in your lives is really truly a shared testimony to the importance of return to work outcomes for you and others. It's an honor to join you today in our shared belief that every Canadian deserves a workplace that supports their health, safety, and well-being, and our shared understanding that returning to work really, with a physical or mental health disability presents enormous challenges. So as the critic federally for mental health and addictions for, Canada's Progressive Opposition Party, the NDP, I've learned so much of what I know about the enormity of barriers to returning to work from one of my mentors, again, Wolfgang Zimmermann. And in 2021, during my 6th year as a member of Parliament for Courtenay Alberni, he assisted me in preparation of a parliamentary motion for a national strategy for the reintegration of workers with physical or mental health disabilities. And that motion called on the Government of Canada to work with the provinces and territories, labor unions, education institutions like Pacific Coast University, and the private sector to develop and implement a national strategy, for the effective reintegration of workers who acquire a mental or physical health impairment, while employed or at risk of losing their job. And our motion was tabled in the House of Commons, it was February 2021, and the government allocated $2.7 million to develop the first ever national disability management strategy. So really kudos to the great work that you're doing there. And since then, although the enormity of the need remains, as there are 6.2 million Canadians living with disabilities and almost 20%, of our population, our national safety net for this population is entirely inadequate. And most recently, the federal government denied the allocation of its inflation rebate to seniors and people living with disabilities and unable to work. So the maximum benefit for low-income Canadians with disabilities is still only $200 per month, forcing millions to live in poverty. So as I say, the challenge is really enormous. The barriers are enormous, but the fight continues. And thanks to institutions like yours, there's progress, and increasingly public and private sector employers are willingly or through negotiation or regulation recognizing the importance for workplace productivity through disability management strategies and processes. And statements and qualifications and job descriptions are beginning to include qualifications in disability management. And hundreds of jobs are currently advertised for specialized, qualifications due to a shortage of competent and certified disability management practitioners. So as Pacific Coast University, and the website explains, workplaces are focusing on better return to work outcomes for employees. Positions in disability management programs are expanding rapidly in North America, Europe, and elsewhere as employers realize the benefits of a professionally developed workplace-based program. Your certificates and degrees are bestowed today by an institution that has directly influenced this new workplace reality. And the field of workplace disability management is still in its infancy, but it grows stronger with every passing day as new knowledge is acquired and applied. And you are among the earliest practitioners. So congratulations to all of you. Go forth and make a difference in the outcomes for workers with disabilities, and just really best wishes to you all. I wish I could be there to join you today, but I've got to go to question period. So take care, and again, thank you for everything.
Yeah, that's great. Gord's been a tremendous champion over the last 9 years since he was elected. But he mentioned, of course, Eric Costen, our deputy minister, university champion, and it's absolutely tremendous that that Eric made the trip out to be here with us today. And with that, I'd like to just briefly introduce Eric Costen, who was appointed Associate Deputy Minister of Health in June 2023. Prior to his appointment, he was Senior Assistant Deputy Minister, Industry Sector at Innovations, Science and Economic Development Canada, where he provided advice on the government's industrial policy and a broad range of Canadian industries in order to enhance innovation, competitiveness, inclusivity, and growth. Prior to joining ISET, he held a variety of executive roles at Health Canada, where he was Associate Assistant Deputy Minister, Controlled Substances and Cannabis branch, responsible for controlled drugs and substances policies, programs, including overdose crisis response activities. He was also Director General, Cannabis Legalization and Regulation, and was Executive Director of the Office of Medical Cannabis. He started his public service career in 2003, working in the First Nations and Inuit Health Branch, including as Director, Mental Health and Addiction. Please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker, Eric Costen.
Wouldn't miss it. Thanks for the introduction, Wolfgang. Well, Wolfgang, Chancellor Wouters, members of the board, faculty, distinguished guests, family, friends, and most importantly, graduates, welcome. Good afternoon, good morning, perhaps good night, depending on what time zone you're in. It's a real privilege. It's a real privilege to have been invited to say a few words here today. Thank you so much for allowing me to share the stage on this very memorable day. So I would also like to acknowledge that I'm speaking to you from the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. So congratulations, I'm going to say it, it's been said a lot, congratulations to all the graduates who have completed the Bachelor of Disability Management, as well as the Disability Practitioner Certificate Program. I just have to say, can you feel the love? There's a lot of love in the room for the graduates. I hope you can feel it, including through the screen. So of course, today is not only a day of celebration, it's a day of reflection, a day of gratitude, a day of looking towards the future. So your hard work, as it's been said, your resilience, your dedication to growth, learning, that's what got you here. Ready to make a difference in the lives of others, your communities, your country. Canada, for those of you in Canada, is widely recognized for, and I think very proud of, its commitment to inclusivity and diversity. We're celebrated globally as a multicultural and a welcoming nation. Our policies and values center on equality, respect for human rights, and the protection of marginalized people. In fact, we've enshrined these principles in our laws, notably the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and more recently, the Accessible Canada Act, which seeks to create a barrier-free country by 2024. However, while Canada is known for promoting inclusivity, we still have a long way to go. Systemic inequities remain, in particular for Indigenous peoples, racialized Canadians, and persons with disabilities. So programs like the one that you just graduated from and just completed are at the vanguard of systemic change. I believe they're shining examples of our shared values in action and our steadfast commitment to being a more inclusive, just, and equitable society. Now, I expect that some of you might be feeling that our society and the world at large these days doesn't always feel more inclusive or more tolerant or more equitable. In fact, daily we're faced with examples of hostility, fear, belligerence, uncertainty. So it's actually for this reason that I'm so excited about the work being done at PCU, and why I'm heartened that all of you have chosen this path. You're now influential ambassadors and advocates, helping to amplify the voices of persons with disabilities, ensuring that their needs and their rights are recognized and met through improved workplace policies and practices that prioritize inclusion, dignity, and respect. We all know and recognize that institutional barriers exist. They stand in the way of well-being, growth, participation, and prosperity. By actively championing the rights of people with disabilities, you are helping Canada and the world move closer to realizing a society where everyone has the opportunity to fully participate and to contribute, regardless of their physical or cognitive differences. Now, this is true whether you plan or maybe already are working in Canada's long-standing industries, helping to transform well-established practices, norms, and cultures in economic powerhouses like the resource sector, the energy sector, the manufacturing sector. Or maybe you'll be part of this booming knowledge economy where workplace rules are seemingly being rewritten in the moment. Some of you might even find your way into major public institutions, governments at all levels, who are also striving to do better, to be more inclusive, to be more accessible. I certainly hope that's the case. I think Wayne hopes that's the case too. No matter where you find yourself, your impact will undeniably be profound and positive. But it won't be easy. As the saying goes, nothing worth doing ever is. So I'd like to share with you something that actually Bill Gates said when he gave an address to the graduating class at Harvard in 2007. So these are his words. In line with the promise of this age, I want to exhort each of the graduates here to take on an issue, a complex problem, a deep inequity, and become a specialist on it. If you make it the focus of your career, that would be phenomenal. Don't let complexity stop you. Be activists. Take on big inequities. I feel sure it will be one of the great experiences of your lives. Take on big inequities. I love that. I can think of no better call to action, in fact. Now, this is probably as good a time as any to tell you that as much as I want to highlight the importance of the expertise, the knowledge, the skills that you have developed, I also want to make the point that you will face situations in the years ahead where you will have no relevant expertise. You will have no evidence base upon which to rely, and your intellect alone will not be able to conjure solutions. It's in those situations that I would like to suggest that you will only be as capable as the people that you have surrounded yourself with. Your team, your colleagues and peers, your bosses, your friends, your family. In other words, your network. These are the people that you will turn to, learn from, lean on, laugh with, and at times lift up. And so it follows that taking care of those many relationships in your life will be as much a priority in your professional development as they are at the core of your development as a person, as a citizen. So I encourage you to think of your fellow graduates as being part of this community. While you may be scattered throughout the country and in fact the world, you share a common cause, and you are more effective, enduring, and influential as a connected network. Progress is often uneven, as we know. So you will learn from one another's successes and your setbacks as you collectively look to raise the bar in this country and beyond. So before I wrap this up, I'd like to take a quick moment to offer a few thoughts on comfort zones, mentors, and career plans. Okay, so on comfort zones. So let's be honest. Getting out of them is challenging, it's scary, and generally unpleasant. That's why we call them comfort zones. But I strongly believe that getting out of them is also a prerequisite for real growth. It's how we challenge established conventions. It's how we expose biases. It's how we push limits, especially our own. And it's ultimately how we learn and grow. And it doesn't always have to be cataclysmic. It can be easier than we think. We do it by asking questions, always being curious, listening with an open mind, being brave, and speaking up. All of this helps us to begin to understand different perspectives and share diverse expertise, to foster open-mindedness and adaptability, to build bridges, to drive change, and ultimately to achieve success. I think this is what it means to strive to be the change that we seek. Now, mentors. You need them. We all do. So seek them out, listen to them, eventually become one. And don't be shy about it. If you're not sure how to go about getting one, it's as easy as simply asking. Anyone in a leadership role who's worth their salt won't turn you away. They won't, because they understand the debt that they owe to their own mentors and the responsibility they have to pay it forward. That's how it works. Promise. Finally, career plans. Okay. If you're worried that you don't have one, don't be. Life, and certainly careers, are a lot less linear than we're led to believe. I share this with you to underscore the value of making unconventional decisions, taking the road less traveled. There were times in my studies and my career, and when I say times, I pretty much mean all of it, when I had no solid plan. There were times when I was told that I was making huge mistakes or I was taking unnecessary risks. But each of these so-called mistakes led to unexpected successes. And every success along the way increased my confidence in being able to address new challenges and contribute in new and unanticipated ways. The fact is that I never assumed a role for which I felt entirely qualified on day one. And I'm really grateful for that. These are the experiences that stretched me, tested me, enriched me, exposed me to new ideas, people, and challenges. And I'm a lot better for them. And of course, I made it through thanks to my network, colleagues, teams, very patient and brilliant bosses, and a vast support system of people who had my back. So in closing, for the graduates here today, for the graduate here today, and for the graduates who are online, this ceremony is the culmination of your academic achievement and also the beginning of your journey as leaders in a critical field that is essential to the overall health and prosperity of your communities and countries. I don't need to tell you that disability management is not only about policies and procedures, it's about people. It's about understanding that work is way more than just a job. It's a source of identity, connection, and purpose. And I have no doubt that your work will help to foster better disability management programs that will ensure individuals facing physical and mental health are supported, empowered, and able to thrive in their workplaces and communities. I encourage you guys to be innovators, to lead with courage, the same courage that brought you here to this moment. Be advocates for workplaces that celebrate diversity, that support individuals through life's challenges. Be the voice that ensures that no one has to choose between their health and their livelihood. You have the power to transform lives and to redefine how society views and manages disability in the workplace. You are not just graduates, you're leaders, change makers, and advocates for a more inclusive world. I wish you much success and fulfillment in all of your future endeavors. And once again, congratulations.
That's great. Thank you very much, Eric, for your inspiring comments, your wisdom, and we very much appreciate you making the effort and or making a trip out from Ottawa to join us here today, which is just absolutely tremendous. Now, in terms of our next speaker, he is unfortunately not with us for professional and health reasons, but has asked me to just say a few words of the message that he liked to convey, and that is really very much related to his own personal experience. His name is Lance Blanco. Lance is the Senior Vice President Corporate Development at Adendra, which is a hardware distribution company, and he had joined that company in 2010 as president and CEO. I had known Lance for many years when he was a vice president and then senior vice president at McMill Bodell and Weyerhaeuser. And in 2010, when he became the CEO of Hardwoods, basically a $1 billion hardware distribution company, he then 4 years later, in 2014, suffered a serious accident. Many of you might have seen the recent coverage of individuals suffering spinal cord injuries from mountain biking accidents. There was a major expose on that in the Vancouver Sun just the other day, that it is now more dangerous and there are more numbers of spinal cord injuries from mountain biking than from the next 3 sporting types that are out there. So this is what happened to him in July 2014, where he went over the handlebars at Whistler and became a quadriplegic. And he then spent, of course, the time in the acute spinal cord unit at Vancouver General Hospital, then went to GF Strong. And because I knew of him, but I didn't know him personally, a mutual friend of ours, the senior HR manager, reached out and said, can you go and connect with Lance and provide him with some of your insights, which is what I did. And he basically said, look, I'm financially fine. I don't have any worries. I'm done. I'm not going to go back to the office in a wheelchair. That's not my image, not somebody's image coming out of a senior role in the forest industry where the macho image, he got, he worked for the same company as I did. I mean, that was just the reality in the forest industry, and Ken mentioned that. And a mutual colleague of ours who was his boss by the name of Craig Neeser, who was the president of Weyerhaeuser Canada, said to me, what is the most important message? Because Craig went to take Lance every weekend for a spin around the block at GF Strong in his wheelchair, and had reached out to me and said, what message should I convey? And I said, the most important message is that he get back to work. To say that I can't, even though I'm extremely wealthy, I can't go, I'm not going to go back to work. I'm, just going to try to do something else. I said, return to work is the most important part. And what happened basically is, because Adendra Group is a $2.5 billion business with distribution and manufacturing facilities across North America, primarily in the US South, some in Canada, and the Atlantic seaboard. Going back as a CEO, because of the physical challenges, was not an option. But the company decided that we are going to go and utilize his 40 years of expertise in increasingly senior roles in the forest industry to our benefit, made him the Senior Vice President, Strategic Development. And it's a role that he continues on today. We often chat, and he agreed to join our board a number of years ago and wanted to convey this message as to, look, this is something that can happen to anybody. It doesn't matter whether you are, the CEO of a $1 billion or $2 billion company who is pursuing his hobby, which was mountain biking. And all of a sudden today, it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna quit. I'm gonna carry on because this is how I identify. So this is the message that he was trying to convey to all of you. And obviously I can't do justice to the message that he could have done, but I hope I did convey a bit of his comments. Now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce someone, of course, who is here with us, who's been a tremendous champion, is also our Secretary Treasurer for the university, and her day job is Executive Assistant to the Secretary Treasurer of Unifor, Canada's largest private sector union representing workers in all economic sectors, including transportation, manufacturing, and natural resources. Sari worked as the National Health and Safety Environment Director for many years and continues to be responsible for protecting workers' rights, promoting safe and sustainable work transformations while ensuring the health and safety of workers. Sari comes to the National Union from the Airline Division, which represents members from coast to coast to coast in Canada. Please join me in welcoming Sari Sairanen.
Thank you very much, and congratulations, graduates and graduate here in the audience with us. This is so exciting. We've heard quite a few of the speakers talk about change makers, and that's what you are, and that's who we need more and more in workplaces. And Wolfgang asked me to use that union lens on delivering some messages to you. And definitely occupational health and safety is near and dear to me, and what happens on that continuum of injury when prevention fails. And it is a lonely road when you are an injured worker. It can just seem so daunting that where do I go? Who advocates for me? And how do I return back to work? And I've got a couple stories I want to share with you. And one of them is a large manufacturer and about 3,500 workers, and 250 of their workers, of our members, were on long-term disability. They had been, the majority of them, away from the workplace for over 10 years. Imagine that, over 10 years away from your workplace, your livelihood. And we all know when you're on long-term disability, you're just barely making ends meet, as well as the needs of your family. So what happened at this particular workplace, there was a new manager that came into the facility and looked at the books and thought, how come millions are being paid on this side? And where are those people? Why are they not coming back to work? Very good question. Why are we not looking at the reasons why there are barriers for these individuals coming back to the workplace? And sort of a Reader's Digest version, the union as well as the employer got together and start looking at, well, what are the barriers? What are the reasons why we're not having these individuals coming back to the workplace? And there weren't any. It was just the will to be able to look at that. Imagine if they'd had CDMPs looking at all of this to be able to unpack some of those barriers. So what they did is the moons and the stars all aligned, and they had what's called an open season, because in a unionized workplace, you still have seniority that's being looked at as those foundational issues on work assignments. So they did bidding to different work assignments, and the individuals, the 250 who were in long-term disability, according to their seniority, they were slotted in. And so when it came their turn to look at what jobs they're going to bid at, they had a whole network of individuals involved. They had ergonomists working. They had occupational therapists. They had, of course, the union stewards were in part of the process. They had the worker themselves, and they were able to accommodate 200 of those 250. And this included 2 individuals that had the use of one arm only. This is a manufacturing setup. So imagine the work that could have been done 10 years past, but had not been. So these individuals today are still back at the workplace, and that shows the necessity of having that network, of having the individuals, the will to make those changes in the workplace. The other example that I have is here in BC. And again, it's a tripartite conversation that took place, and a CDMP was involved. And these individuals were suffering ergonomic issues in the workplace. WorkSafe BC had been involved a number of occasions saying, what's happening in this workplace? Why are you not preventing these injuries from happening? And a lot of discussions took place amongst the 3 parties, that tripartite party, of looking at how do we do business differently to ensure that there is that short-term and long-term success for all individuals involved. And they came up with solutions with the help of the CDMP of looking at, okay, so the occupational health and safety side of it, how do we ensure that there is an ergonomic lens that's being looked at? Because a lot of it was lower back injuries that were occurring at this workplace. But then how do you also keep the worker in the workplace while ensuring that they are getting the treatment necessary and the rehab necessary for them to continue in the workplace? And also having the opportunity of going for treatments, whether it's chiropractic treatment or physiotherapy treatments during working hours, and then coming back to the workplace and being accommodated in the workplace. And that has been a successful model for them. And I don't think it would have been as successful had they not had that CDMP, who happened to be one of our members. And she had, unbeknownst to us, been taking the courses through the Pacific Coast University NIDMAR, the 25 modules. We have 2 other individuals who are going through those 25 modules, and hopefully they'll also be inspired and look at doing perhaps a graduate program as well. But my message here is that every single workplace, there are opportunities of making a difference in the lives of so many people, because it's that psychosocial factor. All of us want to belong. All of us want to feel that we're contributing to the workplace. And when you get injured, that light, that brightness that you have of being able to contribute, of standing taller in your workplace, it gets diminished. And so it is up to all of us, and especially the ones who are working in the health sciences field, to ensure that that light, that brightness, that desire of continuously improving in the workplace continues to be enhanced. So as graduates, you are going to be making a huge difference in workplaces. There is so much work that needs to be done in all of our sectors, in all workplaces, whether it's a small workplace or it is a large workplace. There is enough work that needs to continuously be contributing. It is about the physical safety in the workplaces. It is about those psychosocial factors in the workplaces. And if we don't look at them honestly and with that clarity, it really starts muddling the picture of those achievements in the workplace. one of the questions that Wolfgang asked is, the contributions, the return to work contributions. So all of us are ChatGPT looking at that, and Google AI as well. So I put it into Google of what does that mean, return to work for unions. And this may be how some interpret that. AI said that, oh yes, it is about the financial contributions that the union will be getting in terms of dues, and the company will now have monies going into their benefits and pension plans. And I thought, well, AI, you have really missed the boat on this one. This is not just that financial, these about individuals who are contributors, not only to the workplace, but to communities and to their families as well. So never forget that human element that's needed out there. We're all beating heartbeats in our workplaces, in our communities, and not just dollar signs. Graduates, you have done tremendous work on your own journey, and your journey continues in front of you, and hopefully our paths will cross as we continue to enhance and improve the workplace cultures, because workplace cultures are evolving as well. The world of work is evolving, and our work is never done. Thank you very much.
That was good. Terrific. Thank you so much, Sari. We certainly appreciate all of your support and commitment over the last 10 years since you've joined the board of both NIDMAR and the university. It's absolutely tremendous. Now I'd like to call on our registrar, Dr. Tyler Amell, for a few congratulatory comments. Tyler is an internationally recognized thought leader on the topic of workplace health and productivity, and is a frequent speaker and writer on the topic. He is Chief Health and Strategy Officer at Medikeeper. His experience includes roles as partner and vice president at a global human resources consulting, technology, and services firm, chief executive of a human resources technology company, and vice president of Canada's largest independent healthcare and rehabilitation company. He has a PhD in rehabilitation science from the University of Alberta, and please join me in welcoming Dr. Tyler Amell.
Thank you, Wolfgang, and good afternoon, everybody here and online. You know what, I'm going to keep my remarks nice and brief because everybody wants to get to Kara's section when she's going to talk about the names. She's going to read the names, because up until now, you've been graduands, but now you're moving into graduates. So keep that in mind, folks. It's not official until she says it. Yeah, as Wolfgang mentioned, I wear a few hats. I take a lot of what I learn from meeting with people throughout the world, and I help students wherever possible. And I travel a lot, and I had the pleasure of speaking with and teaching every single one of our BDM graduates. They're all students who have taken at least one, probably two, maybe even 3 courses of mine. And so given my travel schedule, I can be in Hawaii and trying to arrange a meeting with a student in Newfoundland, and we have a student in Newfoundland. Same thing with, I remember being on a call with one student when I'm in Red Mountain skiing, and they're in Sarajevo. And so, same thing with Hawaii, same thing with Whistler, same thing with my office in San Diego, Chicago, New York, and Orlando. These are just the ones off the top of my mind where I'm helping these students through the highs and the lows of the BDM. It's not all rosy. It's not all sunshine and unicorns, as some people like to think. There's been tears. I won't mention any names. It's happened. We handhold, we bond, we work with the students to get through the program, because I teach one of the capstone courses. So I'm the last thing standing between them and being that graduand. And so there's an awful lot of back and forth, lots of emails, lots of discussions. And some of the courses are quite challenging, especially for people who've been perhaps out of education for a long time. And so we always must keep that in the back of our minds, is that, for the most part, our students are adult learners. They have a lot of experience to bring forward. They may be in the field already. They may be already practicing as DM folks, but they're looking for that education. They're looking for that additional accreditation and those sort of things, which really gives them a venue to do that. And there's other folks who don't necessarily have that same level of experience, but we have to meet every student where they're at and really help them truly understand the science and combine that with their experience so that they can make for a rather significant impact on people's lives. Because we've heard about the challenges, we've heard about the number of people with work disabilities and people who are labeled as work disabled. I myself have not met a single employer in the past 10 years who has not complained to me about their 10% annualized increase in long-term disability payments. Okay, it's a reality for employers. And of course, there are solutions to that, but some of them don't really want to take that next step. But we need more graduates to be out there and helping those organizations out. Because the people that are being supported by our DM and our integrated workplace health specialists are supporting people who have a lot more issues than they ever did before. I said 10 years with long-term disability premiums. I've also been tracking anxiolytic drug use, utilization and antidepressant usage. And we have hit a new record every single year in Canada and in the US for the number of scripts fulfilled. So number of scripts written and actually fulfilled for anxiolytics and antidepressants. So I started looking at those numbers in 2010. So we're sitting at 15 years now. Drug companies are happy, of course, but there's a lot more things that can be done. And of course, our integrated approach really helps people get to that point. We also have comorbidities. We have folks who are impacted by perhaps having obesity or perhaps having overweight, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, musculoskeletal issues, all these sort of compounding health factors. Whereas 10, 15 years ago, somebody would have one or two. Now patients and injured workers are presented with 5 or 6 of those. In fact, in the US, the average is 6 comorbid conditions. So we have people in a polymorbid state. And so there's a lot of complexities going on with these cases, which really means that they tend to be out of work longer than they ever needed to be to begin with. So by focusing on prevention, focusing on all the disparate aspects that we know to be quite effective, we can really drive change and really make our graduates as effective as possible moving forward. So with that being said, we're so happy to be here to share this day with you, to our one in-person graduate now, soon to be, and of course, all the folks that we have online from throughout the world. It was my pleasure to have been part of that journey with you, as well as all the other faculty and staff at the university. We want to share this day with you. So thank you very much and all the best.
Good. Thank you very much, Tyler. We certainly appreciate all your commitment to what we're doing over many years, and it's our privilege that you've been involved with us and continue. And you did mention, of course, that now we are moving on to introduce the graduating students by our Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Kara Arnold, for the conference of degrees. Dr. Kara Arnold is Chief Academic Officer of PCU-WHS. In this consulting role, Kara provides invaluable support to educational delivery and development aspects, including the academic and continuing education components of the university. She's a professor in organizational behavior and human resources management in the Faculty of Business Administration at Memorial University. Apart from having received many awards, she has also served as Associate Dean of Research and Director of the PhD and Master of Science programs. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Kara Arnold for introducing graduating students for the conferral of degrees by the Chancellor.
So now the main event, our graduates, many of whom are online, as we've heard, and our technology specialist is going to highlight the folks who are online as I call your name. So unfortunately, you're not here for our Chancellor to hand you your parchment in person, but we're going to make a special effort to highlight you. So I think you're going to come on the screen in as the full screen. So and we'll give you a little bit of applause and cheering for your accomplishments. So congratulations to all of you, and congratulations to our folks with the Disability Management Practitioner Certificate Program. They're going easy on me. I'm not going to announce all of those names as well, but I will be announcing the names for the folks who are graduating with the Bachelor of Disability Management. So our first graduate is Carl Mitch DeWalt. There's Carl. And so I am to say there's big, oh, fantastic. There's a little bit of a lag there with the technology. Our second graduate, Almedin Dubravik. Didn't see,
She's not here. She's not
I don't
present.
think they're online. No.
They're not
Okay.
present.
So our third graduate is Athena Renee Hache, and she is online with us, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I was just trying to signal our one graduate who's here in person. Yep, so our chancellor is going to hand her actual parchment degree, and I know that her kids and her parents are here and so very proud of her. I will announce Ricky Elaine Manzik.
Yeah, I think it's just projection on there. Okay. Faces on your. Thank you.
Our next graduate, Vanessa McGoran. And she's here. Dylan Byron Rumbold. Nancy Russo. And we have one final graduate, Sarah White, who couldn't be with us today. And those are our graduates for the BDM program.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, round of applause for them. And each year at our convocation, we have a valedictorian. And this individual was nominated by the instructors in the program this year. And I would like to introduce Vanessa McGoran. She is our valedictorian for the 2024 graduating class of the Bachelor of Disability Management. And it says that you can't join us in person. Unfortunately, you are online, and that we have a pre-recorded aspect of your valedictorian address. So I don't know who the technology person is who's, oh, there we go. So let's listen to
Olivia. What did I hear?
Good
Fantastic.
afternoon, my fellow graduates, faculty, family, and friends. Today we stand together at the culmination of a journey marked by dedication, resilience, and a shared vision of making a difference. Our journey through this degree at PCU has challenged us to think critically, act compassionately, and prepare ourselves for a field that demands both expertise and empathy. Reflecting on our time here, I'm reminded of the diverse paths that led each of us to this moment. We come from different backgrounds, experiences, stories, yet what unites us is a commitment to creating inclusive workplaces, supporting individuals, and promoting well-being for all. These values are at the heart of disability management, and they are the foundation of the impact we're ready to make in this world. And let's be honest, the journey here wasn't always easy. Balancing coursework, jobs, families, life's unexpected challenges, these all tested our resilience. And let's not forget the hours spent learning how to navigate SPSS and statistics, a very humbling experience to say the least. Yet through these late nights and deadlines, we should be proud of all that we've accomplished. All this hard work has led to the opportunity to contribute to the field and our communities. While we may now find ourselves taking different paths, the skills and knowledge we've gained will guide us wherever we go. Whether we work in human resources, healthcare, education, or policy, our shared foundation will continue to shape our actions and decisions. Disability management isn't just a career, it's a necessity. As society increasingly recognizes the importance of mental health, not only in the workplace, but in our personal lives and communities, the role of skilled advocates is needed now more than ever. We live in a world where individuals face barriers to participation and well-being, from physical injuries to invisible challenges like anxiety or burnout. People need knowledgeable professionals to help them navigate these obstacles. Our work matters because it bridges the gap between ability and opportunity. We're not just helping individuals recover, we're empowering them to reclaim their lives and potential. Our education here has given us the tools to become these supporters. The importance of what we learned isn't just in the theories or the tools, it's in the lives we will impact and the changes we will bring about. And we could not have reached this milestone alone. To the faculty and staff at Pacific Coast University, thank you for your guidance, expertise, and constant support. To families and friends, thank you for standing by us, for your encouragement, and for understanding when we had to prioritize our studies over everything else. And to my fellow graduates, as we move into the next chapter of our lives, let us carry the lessons we've learned here into the world and continue to be champions of inclusion and advocates for those who need a voice. Let's embrace the challenges ahead with the same tenacity that brought us here today. As we celebrate this achievement, remember that this is not the conclusion of our journey, but the start of new opportunities to make a difference in the world. Thank you and congratulations, class of 2024.
Well, that was a tremendous, Vanessa. Great words that are an inspiration to all of us. But before I offer just a few concluding comments and have you and us collectively celebrate a bit next door, as part of this, there are a lot of incredible individuals who are supporting this effort and have over many, many decades. And as part of that, I would be remiss if I didn't introduce a longtime faculty member who is with us and has been a valued instructor and faculty member with the university for many years, Terry Bojo, who is in the back. Please stand up and be recognized. We go back many years, having met 30 years ago, something like that, at the Workers' Compensation Board, and we much appreciate all your contribution and your instruction in that role. And I don't know whether you fit into Tyler's category, where there are some tough measurings in terms of the assignments, the gradings. But thank you so much for making the effort. And on that note, I really want to thank all of you for making the effort to participate. This is a shared journey, and I often reflect on the fact that when I got hurt 47 years ago, there were no return to work coordinators. There were no disability managers. There was only the commitment on the part of the union and on the part of the company that provided a path towards going back to work and being able to carry on with a significant level of financial independence, psychological stable living, and social participation. So today, hopefully going forward, all of you and many of you that have gone through the program and going forward will be able to ensure that in our society, return to work after a serious injury or disability, whether that's a mental health or physical health challenge, is not an exception, but becomes the norm and the standard. So thank you very much, and I won't keep you any longer from a glass of wine and some treats next door. So thank you very much.